So I'm going to do what's known in the gambling community as doubling down. That's right, all the naysayers in the comments of the last video meant absolutely nothing to me. This video will be addressing things from the comments as well as going into some more details that I didn't feel like putting in the first video, because I'm monumentally lazy. To start, am I aware of Switch emulators? Yes. However, the reason I said there are no Switch emulators is due to their end-user ease of use, or lack thereof. As far as myself and many others like me are concerned, there are no Switch emulators. Yet. Not until they have the ease of use of something like JNES, Project 64, Dolphin, or RetroArch. Next, indie games. I play a few, and I do mean few. Brave and bold statement incoming. Personally, I find most indie games to be dangerously boring and unfun. Why yes, I sure would like a plot-driven 2D platformer, I sure can get invested in that story. Of course I want more turn-based games. I play video games to scroll through endless menus and watch animations autoplay, rather than being able to do it myself. If you like indie games, that's great. Play them till you're sick of them. However, the reason I complain about AAA titles like I do is because it didn't used to be like this. AAA studios used to give us completed games that had interesting stories and engaging gameplay. Rather than retreating to indie games, we should be demanding the quality standards come back up, not let them slip away because we have a sort of alternative to fall back on. Also, something I do want to correct, often it isn't the studio's fault for making a half-baked game. That's usually the publishing company that forces them to push it out quicker. But there are some studios that are responsible for botching the games, like 343. Next, am I a PC elitist? No. If I was, the video would have sounded more like, "Ugh, look at those console peasants, playing with their toys like children. How dare they not be able to afford an RTX 4090, an i9 14900KS, 128 gigabits of RAM, water cooling for every part, and RGB to tie the whole thing together." No, see, I preach about the upsides of PC, not to laugh at poor people, because I'm far from wealthy myself, but because I want you to save money. Want to know how not to save money? Throw $400 to $500 at a new console every 6 to 8 years. Want to know how to save money? Build a PC with second-hand parts and swap out individual parts as necessary. Guys, my PC, i5 8600K, 16 gigs of RAM, since upgraded to 32 gigs of RAM, a 1070 GPU, a 750 watt power supply, and CPU water cooling, altogether, at the time was about $700. And you know what? I can play modern titles with the graphics dialed down. Here's the thing, we're reaching a point where graphics are plateauing. There's a reason you're seeing a focus on FPS. We're reaching a point where graphics are more than adequate for the average player. I myself don't care about 4K at 60 FPS. 1080p at 144 or higher is more than enough for me. Besides, most of us are playing fast-paced shooters. Subsurface scattering, ray tracing, ambient occlusion, shadow detail, and so on. All of these things are kinda meaningless when you're zipping by, not slowing down to enjoy the details. Literally, the only few games that I like high-fidelity graphics in are single-player games, where I'm taking my time, actually able to enjoy the scenery. Now, I can play Cyberpunk, Doom Eternal, Elden Ring, Modern Warfare 2022, and more on my rig, comfortably, if I make adjustments to graphical settings. You do not need a several $1,000 PC to enjoy gaming anymore. Parts from 5 years ago, like what I'm working with, are not only dirt cheap, but more than adequate to run most games. If you like the experience of console gaming, that's just fine. I come from console gaming. I can't play third-person shooters or driving games without a controller, so I get it. However, I encourage console players to get a PC for the sake of their own wallet. Short-term, yes, you have to spend a bit more, but in the long run, you won't be spending money on that next console. And the next one. And the next one. And the next one. And the next one. Also, indie games usually get their start on PCs, so if you are an indie enthusiast, either you're already a PC user or you really need to make the switch. Then get sued by Nintendo. Then get a PC so you can gain access to indie titles that otherwise don't make their way to consoles. Next, the console wars between PlayStation and Xbox. If you still buy into it, good news! The war has been over since the 8th generation. Bad news, you both lost. Both of your systems suck. Xbox is just PC Lite. PlayStation is losing studios left and right. Only Nintendo fans have a reason to actually own a system. Xbox users are just too lazy to get a PC. PlayStation fans just have Stockholm Syndrome. Good luck with that next data breach. Next, let me talk about a specific aspect of modern gaming that is one of the worst avenues of abuse: live service.
I don't know what I'm on about.
It will be the death of the market if it isn't stopped. You see, back when the internet didn't really exist and when it had incredibly limited bandwidth, studios and publishers couldn't rely on pushing out patches to fix their game. They had to make sure it was gold tier on release, or suffer being known as a broken piece of shit. It wasn't until mid-6th gen into 7th gen that bandwidth became good enough to handle the data load, and we started getting DLC, patches, and entire games digitally. Now, live service is not inherently bad. GTA 5 is the best example of how live service can be done correctly. GTA 5 is probably one of the first live service games, yet we don't blow a gasket over that. Why? Because GTA 5 was a complete game on launch. Online was lacking, but that was not the focus of the game at first. The campaign can take tens of hours to complete. That's a far cry from modern 6-hour hand-holding walking simulators. And once GTA Online started to take off, not only did we get the DLC for free, but it added swaths of new content to revitalize the game. I don't have a problem with paid DLC, so long as it's actually worth the money. But you see, GTA 5 wasn't a framework of a game whose DLC was there to gradually fix it over time. It was finished, and the content that was added to the game did just that, added to it, not fixing glaring issues. Live service is a coping mechanism. Publishers want games to come out sooner and sooner so they can get that quick shot of money to meet their quotas. And then developers make the game limp along with endless patches to fix a game that never should have come out at the time it did. Remember, all the patches you had to install to fix games like Cyberpunk or Battlefield, those should have been fixes the game got during development, rather than making you suffer through it while still paying full price. Another effect of live service is the quality of the game's plot. Once again, before devs could throw out DLC to add on to a game's story, they had to make it a complete experience right then and there. Live service is one of the most predatory, abusive actions a studio or publisher can do. It encourages them to be lazy with their programming, to justify you paying full price for a half-finished product, to pad out the plot of a game to justify the next story DLC. Second to last. This one will be a bit controversial, but is completely legitimate. Video games have been ruined by mainstream attention. In order to maximize their money, companies are going the route of Marvel. Make everything emotionally safe so no one gets offended. Make it intellectually shallow so no one feels even remotely dumb for not understanding it. Reference back to the old stuff for that nostalgia bait, and kill off the old beloved characters to make way for new people that are just political mouthpieces for the writers. It's working so well for Disney. Now, becoming mainstream is not inherently bad. Halo was one of the biggest video games to ever be made, and it was able to maintain its quality even after becoming as mainstream as it got. This is because the people making it fought for their creative visions. They had the passion to make sure their creation was made the right way. 343 is the best example we have of when creatively bankrupt people who only care about money and following the trends of other popular series try to take control of an IP known for its creativity and innovation. It dies. Lastly, I still hold to the idea that we're heading for a crash, and I do believe we're in a soft crash right now. Will companies like Microsoft and Sony ever go out of business? No. But as more AAA titles fail, we're going to see parent companies cutting the smaller studios to keep the failing bigger ones afloat. As for the future of the consoles, Xbox will just become a streamlined gaming PC. PlayStation will probably continue on for a while more. We're only really going to see a major shakeup in the console market if Sony sees a massive drop in their market. Also, Sony sisters, if it seems like I'm dogging on your console more, it's because I am.